Good morning. Today we're starting unit over overcoming adversity. I apologize in advance because I do have a little bit of a cough. I'm going to try not to, but no promises. Also, I'm not super familiar with hosting my own Zoom, so you may see some random clicking or there may be some like pauses or lulls, so I apologize for that too, but we'll get through it. Um, like I said, the unit that we start today is overcoming adversity. Now, adversity is just any kind of like misfortune or difficulty that you may face in your life. What types of events do you think of when I say adversity? Okay, those are some good examples. Um, the novel we'll be reading for this unit is Speak by Laurie Halse Anderson. In this book, Melinda's a high school student and she's raped in the book and stops speaking as a result. And I do want to warn you that there is some like difficult content in the book, and if anybody's uncomfortable with this book, you can come to me after class and I'll assign a different novel for you. It will still do with adversity, but it may be different contextually. We'll go over some options. Anyways, we will read at home every night. I'll assign a group of chapters or and we'll call them marking periods and we'll journal after each marking point. I will hand out a rubric so everyone knows and understands your journaling expectations. And then each day we'll have a group discussion project or worksheet that coincides with what we read the day before. You all had great points about some of the adversity we may face in our lives. And I have a video from ABC News about 6 stories of overcoming adversity. And I'm going to share my screen so we can watch that video and then we'll have a discussion about the video after that's finished. Let me get my screen up. Here it is. Okay. So this is 6 stories about adversity that people may have faced. This could be different than some things that you guys have gone through, or some of you may relate to it on some level. Here's a video.
Daring to dream is how little Alyssa has gone through life since her accident. Last May, she was hit by a truck. Her leg had to be amputated below the knee, but she didn't let the operation keep her off the stage. And less than a year into her new life, Alyssa delivered a showstopper at her dance studio's recital. She performed an original piece. And if you think just the dancing is brave, watch this. Alyssa removes her prosthetic and doesn't miss a beat. I asked her why she did it.
To show them that I was still me without it and to be myself.
Lots of kids dream of being the next LeBron James or Kobe Bryant, but Julian Newman may just have a shot. Only 11 years old, he's playing guys 2 feet taller and 7 years older. And guess what? He's beating them.
They think that I'm not good, but when they see me, they see different.
This 5th grader is already the starting point guard on his high school's varsity basketball team. That's right, fresh from elementary school, Julian plays for the high school varsity team.
Right away, we knew he had a talent.
His dad, also his coach, helped put together Julian's highlight reel on YouTube. It's going viral with more than 2.5 million hits and counting.
Welcome to the track and field championship.
When Charlotte Brown runs down her lane with her pink pole vault and leaps into the sky, you hold your breath. She's just 15 years old and she's learned to fly. But what's most amazing is she can't see.
I really can't make out a blur even. It really just blends in for me.
She can't see the track or the fancy color of her pole vault or the faces of the people in the stands. She's legally blind.
So you have no idea, what I really look like.
Right.
Doctors don't know why, but she started losing her sight when she was just 16 weeks old. Several surgeries later, none of it helped. She took to the pole vault like a champion. But how in the world does someone who's blind do so well at something that's challenging for anyone? This is what pole vaulting looks like to a sighted person, but this is what it looks like to Charlotte. She says it's like looking down the inside of a little black straw and seeing a blurry light at the end. So she has a system. Her coach lays artificial turf next to her lane. She can see the difference between light and dark, and it helps her run straight.
1, 2, 3.
She counts her steps, and then goes for it. And now get this, she's not just any pole vaulter, she's the best her high school has ever seen.
We're back now with a California boy who is celebrating after setting a new world record, becoming actually the youngest person ever to swim from San Francisco to Alcatraz and back. That's about a little over 2 miles.
Very
Impressive.
long distance, and he's only 9 years old. James Savage walked onto the beach and collapsed in his mother's arms after that grueling 2-hour trek. He battled conditions that were also pretty bad, windy and frigid. He says he even considered giving up.
I thought it was going to be easy at first, but then after I got out there, the tide was pushing me all around. I was about to quit, but then I kept on going.
When he first announced he wanted to walk a mile in a race, the most he ever walked was 20 steps.
Watching sports with Dad was his first love, but running together quickly took over.
It's very difficult to have athletic events that you two can do together.
And for the past 6 years, they have. It started small with each race run by Dad, but finished by both.
We just had a person the other day say, you know, Johnny could be a professional athlete. And he said, no, I'm serious. He said he really could be.
Person like me being able to endure endurance races and stuff. But I think it's a tremendous lesson for me. It teaches me that anything is possible. And
who would have ever thought, you know, my son with cerebral palsy was going to be able to participate in an event of this magnitude.
In an ESPN E60 story from a few years ago, Johnny challenged himself to walk the final mile of a 5K and realized the true feeling of competition and completion on his own. That powerful day was the day his athletic dreams began to be realized.
You have the ability to do something special, and it's up to you to make that become a reality. That has really been my biggest inspiration and the biggest athlete that I look up to because of his determination to get me across that finish line.
The duo now faces its toughest test as they've been invited to run in the world's toughest race, the Kona Ironman World Championship Triathlon, which will test both Johnny and Jeff's limits in unfathomable ways.
If you think based on watching these images that 16-year-old Kate Foster is a talented gymnast, you'd be right. But that's not the whole picture. This is the whole picture. The Illinois teen is not only talented, she's extraordinary, able to defy gravity and stick picture-perfect dismounts with a prosthetic leg. Kate's love of tumbling began at age 7.
She loved it right from the beginning. The extra practices, the extra time at the gym.
I've never really found anything that I've loved more.
But then at age 12, the unthinkable. Kate was diagnosed with leukemia, and an infection that ravaged her leg forced her to choose between life and a limb.
They told me what was going on, and I said, "You're not taking off my leg. I need that for gymnastics." And they were kind of explaining to me, this bone marrow transplant won't work unless we do this. It's really your leg or your life.
Kate worried. Having only one leg meant her life as a gymnast was over, but her coach had other ideas.
After the amputation, my coach said something to me that really changed my mindset. She said that she had never coached a one-legged gymnast before, but she was willing to try if I was.
So they set off on an uncharted course. Today, Kate competes with her team, traveling throughout the nation in sanctioned gymnastics competitions.
Okay, so those types of videos and stories have always been really empowering to me. My husband watches those 30 for 30.
Ezra Fretch is far from your
Sorry,
typical
just a second.
12-year-old. For starters, his name.
He watches those 30 for 30s on ESPN about overcoming adversity, and they always really get to me. He laughs at me because I cry because I'm a really empathetic crier. But I feel like they're really powerful for me. So after watching the video, what is something that you feel like all these stories of these 6 kids have in common? Right, right. And and studies show that in order to overcome adversity, people should make peace with their situation. Or there are different coping mechanisms, like having a sense of humor about it, have a purpose in life, refuse to give up, mentally prepare yourself for things that you may encounter due to the adversity you face. In what ways do people in the video exhibit these traits? Right, right. Okay. And another valuable resource is a strong support system. Like if you notice the boy that was doing the Ironmans and the 5Ks, he had his dad with him. The gymnast had her coach that said, "I never coached a one-legged girl, but I'm willing to try if you are." And how do you think that you could find support if you don't have it at home? Right? Okay. We'll also take a look at how Melinda finds emotional support in the novel that we're reading called Speak, because she didn't want to talk about what happened to her. Um, in this unit, we'll have groups. We have 4 students, so I've decided to do 4 groups of 4 and then 2 groups of 3. If you don't want to be in a group, we can talk about that. You can let me know, but you will be required to do the group work on your own. So, so the groups, once I assign you to your groups, I want you all to get to know your individual group members. And if you haven't already known them, then you'll introduce yourself and everything. And each group will nominate positions for manager, recorder, presenter, and reflector. And if you're in a group of 3, you will reflect as a group. So manager just kind of, it's pretty self-explanatory, but they are in charge of everything that goes on in the group. They kind of facilitate everything and make sure everything's organized. The recorder writes down everything that the group talks about or the answers. The presenter is the person that's responsible for getting up in front of the class and talking about what your group found. And the reflector is a person that after all the work is done, what should we have changed? Should we make any additions, take anything out? So forth. Also, after each discussion, I will assign the reading like I mentioned before, and we will journal each night at home. Like I said, those rubrics will be handed out. So before we end today, I do want to show you one more thing. There's a short poem that I found. It's by Laurie Halse Anderson, and it's a poem that she wrote that was comprised of letters she's gotten from the book of survivors or people that know someone that has survived something. So I wanted to share that poem with you. It's called Listen, and then we'll end for today. Okay, let me pull this up. Just one second. I may have to retype it. No, wait, here it is. Okay.
So I wrote a poem called Listen. I was asked to share some of the letters and notes, the thousands of them that I've gotten over the years from survivors of sexual violence. And I didn't want to do that because that's their story. What I did instead is I took words and phrases from, I think, a couple hundred different letters, and I poured them together into a found poem. That's what's called Listen. And so what you're hearing when I say you are the voices of these survivors sharing little slivers of their experience, their stories with you. You write to us from Houston, Brooklyn, Peoria, Rye, New York, LA, DC, anywhere USA to my mailbox, my space, Facebook, a live journal of BFFs whispering 100,000 whispers to Melinda and me, you. I was raped too, sexually assaulted in 7th grade, 10th grade, the summer after graduation at a party. I was 16, I was 14, I was 5, and he did it for 3 years. I loved him. I didn't even know him. He was my best friend's brother, my grandfather, father, mommy's boyfriend, my date, my cousin, my coach. I met him for the first time that night, and 4 guys took turns, and I'm a boy, and this happened to me, and I got pregnant. I gave up my daughter for adoption. Did it happen to you too? You too? You. I wasn't raped, but my dad drinks, but I hate talking, but my brother was shot, but I'm outcast, but my parents split up, but I'm clanless, but we lost our house, but I have secrets. 7 years of secrets, and I cut myself. My friends cut. We all cut to let out the pain. My 5-year-old cousin was raped. He's beginning to act out now. Do you have suicidal thoughts? Do you want to kill him? You. Melinda's a lot like this girl I know. No, she's a lot like me. I am Melinda Sarah. I am Melinda Rogelio. I am Melinda Megan, Melinda Amber, Melinda Stephen, Tori, Philip, Naftia, Tiara, Mateo, Christina, Beth. It keeps hurting. But, this book cracked my shell. It keeps hurting. I hurt, but your book cracked my shell. You. I cried when I read it. I laughed when I read it. Is that dumb? I sat with a girl, you know, that girl. I sat with her because nobody sits with her at lunch, and I'm a cheerleader, so there. Speak changed my life, cracked my shell, made me think about parties, gave me wings. This book opened my mouth. I whispered, cried, rolled up my sleeves. I hate talking, but I'm trying. You made me remember who I am. Thanks. P.S. Our class is going to analyze this thing to death. Me. Weeping.
Okay. So like I said, the part that said this class, our class is going to analyze this to death, that's going to be us. So, and I wanted to point out the importance of, if you haven't faced something like this, the part that spoke to me that she read in that poem, Listen, was the cheerleader that said she decided to go sit with the girl that always sits with her. So not only if you haven't been through adversity in your life, it's important that you can become a support system for someone that has, or you can help them out of a dark place. So, like I said, it is some sensitive content. So I just want to reiterate that if you do not feel comfortable with this book, I can assign you another one. The assignment for tonight is going to be obviously from the front of the book, because we're starting it. So it's called Meriwether High, and then we're going to read to the sanctuary, and then we're going to reflect in our journals according to the rubric that I'm about to hand you. So thank you for watching.